Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Brown Bag. I'm joined today by Sasha and Yasaira to talk more, who are two fabulous alumni of Lambda School, and just so they can share a little bit more about their experiences starting new careers, working in tech, specifically from the perspective of women. And this has really come out of a request from a lot of students about wanting to hear more about what it's like to start a new career, to join a new company, to interview, to get a job, to succeed in tech as a woman. And so we wanted to make sure that we were bringing back alumni, since your perspectives are arguably probably the most relevant to students who are currently preparing to make that transition too. So I'm going to leave plenty of time for questions. I have a couple prepared questions, but hopefully folks have questions prepared as we go through this. Definitely jot anything down, and we'll leave as much time at the end for you all to ask Yasaira and Sasha your questions directly. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the two of you to say a little bit about yourselves.
Yasaira, do you want to start?
You can go.
Okay, sure. I'm Sasha. I graduated in August 2018. I was in CS8. I think that now we're using like Web 8. So it was way back in the day, like a year ago. And I am now a front-end engineer at a software security company in Boston called Intrusta, also now branding as Aura. Yeah, I come from a pretty non-traditional background, I guess, as probably as like many of you. I was studying business and then small business management, and then later on went into studying computer science and left school early to do Lambda School. And yeah, and then graduated from Lambda School and came to where I am today. You can go ahead,
Okay. Well, hi everyone. I miss Lambda so much. Like this is, yeah, the first time I'm in Zoom again with, many of you. So my name is Yasaira Krong. I'm from Web 15 and Labs 10. I started Lambda on October 1st last year. My prior experience is I have bachelor degree in math, and then I work as accountant before for about 2 years, and then I just stayed home for more than 10 years raising the kid and family, so I know it's hard. It is hard to get back to work after that long period of time when, you feel like your education is just not up to date with the changing technology and everything. But yeah, now I'm working. Well, I haven't graduated yet from Lambda. I just finished lab, so I'll get back to it, the CS portion. So yeah, I'm working now at Arundo Analytics as Associate Software Engineer. Yeah, this is my, it's 3 days, no, a month and 3 days now I'm working here. Yep, that's from me.
Awesome. Thank you both. Could you share, and I think you both touched on this kind of a little bit, but would love to hear you go into a little bit more depth on what the transition was like going from student to being an employee, and just any like advice or challenges or opportunities or anything that came up while you were making that transition into your first post Lambda, or Yasaira, for you, your first current Lambda job opportunity.
You want to go first, Sasha?
You can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. For me, the transition from studying coding to really work is going smooth. Like I feel it kind of slow here at the workplace, you know. I don't know if this gonna happen to everybody, but yeah, we used to code like crazy when we are at Lambda from morning to late, really late at night. But now that just code, you know, having a release from 8 to 3 o'clock to code, and it's more to it than just coding. Like you have meetings, you have yeah, things like that. So it's been great, and it's been, well, it's not, I feel like it's not sinking yet that I'm right now working. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. My transition was also pretty smooth. I definitely feel Lambda prepared me pretty well for my position. The only thing is that when you're at Lambda, you're learning a lot of things at the same time. And I felt like I was always learning, and I loved going through the program, going through computer science, and going into more technical stuff. And then I'm coming into like a front end position mostly, but I have the opportunity to go into back end work, but it's more focused on certain types of code, and you're kind of doing the same repetitive things every day. So you have to really make sure that you're in your free time, you're still developing your career to make sure that you're learning new technologies outside of work, and also balancing that balance between getting work done and also doing and like improving yourself in your career as well, like making sure that you're up to date with new technologies and other things where you want to go in your career, just to not make sure you're not in the same role or wherever you want to be in life. So I think that transition between Lambda School it went really well for me. The place that I'm at now is really awesome and encouraging you in your career growth. So I think that overall it was a really great transition.
Going off of that, given that it sounds like you both have had like a very supportive kind of team transition, were there things when you were job searching, were you like looking for specific things in companies, or do you feel like it just worked out well and you kind of lucked out? Or, you know, is there something that you did to kind of find an environment that would have that support as you were transitioning, or did it just work out?
I can start on that. I definitely, one thing I looked for in a company was to make sure that the company was diverse. I asked tons of questions. Every company I interviewed at, I ensured that it was diverse. I asked what the company culture was like. Like that was one of the most important things that I looked for in a company that I was interviewing at. I asked questions about the percentages of what type of people that work, what are they doing to improve the environment for inclusive of gender, of race, whatever they're doing for the company. What they're doing was really impacting my decision on whether I wanted to work for them or not. And I really wasn't going to settle on working for a company that didn't meet my expectations of that. And so I think that's really important especially for women that are going into these specific roles. You're going to be with these companies for a certain amount of time, and you're living your life with like these coworkers and your people. You want to make sure that they're people that you're going to be with and you want to be with and be happy to come with, and, you know, be happy to work every day. So that was something that was really, really important to me when I was going into the work field position.
For me, yeah, I also looking for a specific set of expectation from the company that I wanted to work on. But it's also a bit of a luck, because with this company, I knew them from a career hackathon that they're doing. It's specifically for a women hackathon, women career hackathon. So I know that they're inviting all women to this hackathon, and they want to add more women to their company, right now we have 10 women out of 50 in our office. So that's kind of good, I guess. And we also have people from all over the world here. So the diversity is there, and that's really what I'm looking for. And also I was looking for a company that work a lot in data science, because I want to transition also my career from development to more of the data scientist. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both. Have you digging into slightly more vulnerable topics? Did either of you, as students or in your positions currently, feel impacted by imposter syndrome at all? And if not, like, why do you think that? Just knowing that a lot of people do experience that, like, are there things that you do to avoid that proactively? And if you did feel impacted by imposter syndrome, either currently or as a student, how did you address this and kind of persist and clearly succeed in achieving your career goals despite the pressure caused by imposter syndrome?
For me, like, imposter syndrome is all the time, right? Like it's just a constant battle. But the way to fight it for me is just to recognize that you have it. And I like to set small goals, like what do I need to accomplish, like this week or in 2 weeks, so every week I know that I have achieved something, so that's kind of make me realize that I'm not wasting my time, or I'm not doing nothing. So the other thing is having a support system, like friends or family that really know you. And I like to, when I'm feeling down, they're my last resort, right? Like they can give me motivation, like, just remind me of how far I've come to get to this point. So yeah, and doing some reflection of what I've done so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And for me, I felt it mostly in the beginning stages of Lambda School, and even more so during the interviewing process was really intense for me. Just because you're interviewing with tons of companies, you're getting denied, you're getting asked all these hard questions, whiteboarding and all of that. The imposter syndrome gets real. Like, you don't know if you're up for it. And I think something that really helps is the Lambda community. Like when you're with your classmates and the people that are going through all of this with you, like even today, like I still keep connected with people that I was in my class from Lambda School, and I see how they're doing, and it makes me feel really great that like we're all doing really awesome in our positions, and we're all learning and doing great things. And like I think talking to them really helps a lot with imposter syndrome. For me, coming into my company, at first I felt like the company is very, like, they help everybody grow, and coming in, they hired also a lot of boot camp grads, so I didn't feel as much imposter syndrome as if I were going into a company that maybe didn't have as much boot camp grads. Because I had that connection with other people that I was working with, I felt that it was easier to have people I can talk to and grow with at the same time. And I think that just talking with people that are at your level really helps with those types of things. And I think the things that Ysaira mentioned before really helps with setting goals and doing things that make you feel that you're contributing is really helpful. And especially like when you start reviewing other people's code and seeing that you can contribute to the code base as well, and you're making that impact, is really helpful in making you feel that you belong.
Yeah, if I can add something to that, like at my work right now, we only have two bootcamp graduate, me and the other lady who just started like 2 weeks before me, and also from the hackathon. And the rest of us is like really the university type of, developer and data scientists. They have their master PhDs, and it's really intimidating to, just join the team when you have the, meeting or stand up. But after sometimes when I feel like I can code as well as they do, it
Mm-hmm.
just give me a sense of um, relief that I'm prepared for this. I know how to do this.
Yeah. Also, I had interviewed my first oncoming JavaScript developer like a few weeks ago, and it was like a big thing. I had felt so much imposter syndrome. Like, how can I interview somebody when, I just got here and, about a year ago, and I still feel like I'm still have so much learning to do. But interviewing definitely helps a lot with relaying like the experience that you had going into the job, and just getting that out of somebody else really helps with imposter syndrome as well. Just forcing yourself or asking a manager to be involved in those types of things helps as well.
Yeah.
That is all very good advice. And I appreciate that both of you kind of shared tips around both like the internal aspects of combating imposter syndrome by like validating yourself and keeping track of your work and accomplishments like independently, but then also leaning on people in your community, whether it's Lambda School, friends or family, or like other people, just to remind you how awesome you are. It kind of seems like there's like a joint plan of attack there to get around it, both like on the internal side and pulling in people outside of yourself too. So I really love that. How would you say, and if at all, and maybe it hasn't, but would you say that gender has influenced your education or your career pathway, either in terms of like opportunities, how you've made decisions, or how you felt going through your education and in your careers? And if so, how? And if not, then if not.
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer, really, like, because you cannot really put a measure if it is really impacting you or not, right? So if it is impacting me, I think it's in the sense of like, because I have to put hold of my career and education while I have to take care of, the kids and families. So now I'm starting it a little bit late, and the 10 years employment cap is really the main worry that I have when I started to thinking about coming back to work and just, starting boot camp, whether it's gonna worth it, so yeah. But during the job search, I do not really think of it. I just think that if I'm able to do the work that I need to do, then I'll find a job somewhere. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. As a woman, I think any woman that goes through life, experience these types of things, like no matter when you're young, there's always things that you have to overcome a little differently. And I think that you just kind of get used to those types of things, especially in the workplace, especially in the tech field and the tech community. You'll realize that you're very much so of a minority in a very big place. And that's why this was something that was really important to me when I was coming into the field, to make sure that the company was encouraging and inclusive and going in the right direction of supporting women, supporting race, diversity, all types of different people. And that's something that I really looked for. But as far as like any difficulties I've come across, it's more so if you're feeling uncomfortable with a situation, is to always like speak up. It's something that I've always learned, is to speak up about things more so than somebody else might have to. If a guy has an issue, I've always felt like it's more important for me to speak up about something, and to always negotiate your salaries, always negotiate your salaries. Mostly if there's an issue in your workplace, to go to your manager or HR to talk to whoever you need to about whatever situation you have going, because most likely there will be somebody or something that happens. So it's always something that I encourage.
Awesome. Last question that I have, and then I want to kick it over to the rest of the group to ask questions. What, if you had to summarize your advice into say two pieces of advice or less, what advice would you have for other people who are starting their careers in the tech field, specifically other women who are starting new careers in the tech field?
For me, it's networking. It's really, really powerful. Like, I cannot emphasize more to it. Like, it's networking. And started it early. It's just not possible for you to hold it until, the end of Lambda and then start networking then. It has to start early on, whenever you have time. Go find Lambda meetup around you, or any other meetup, free code camp meetup or whatever. And, because I think I got more information about the job opening and just like what kind of technology that they're using around me from those meetups.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree, Yasira. Networking is very important, as well as getting your projects and anything that you have out there, like in any way or form, on your portfolio, on YouTube. Put all whatever demos you have, make demos of your projects, put them out there, get on all types of social media, promote yourself as who you are as a software engineer, and connect with as many people as possible. Go to meetups. For me, Twitter was very impactful for me. I think Austin retweeted something that I did a while ago. I had I made Mario in CSS, and pure CSS, a moving Mario, and then a lot of people seen it, and I got a lot of people on Twitter that just contacted me. I got a lot of job offers and references from Twitter and a lot of random social media networks. So as long as you put your work out there, be heard, if you see an opportunity to promote yourself, and whatever opportunity that you get, go to conferences. If you see there's small conferences that you can talk, if you're a woman or someone that's diverse or anybody, if you have something to say, if you have a hobby or anything, there's usually people in tech that have a group around whatever you do. Go to that group, talk about anything that you like or something that you learned in school. And as long as you're getting yourself out there, you'll see that opportunities just start to attract to you. So just make sure you get out there and put your name out and, do your thing. And I'm sure you'll get the opportunities that come to you.
Yeah, and one more thing that I like to add is be flexible with the technology that you're learning. Don't be like, oh, I have to use Redux, whatever happens, just Redux for me. That's not going to happen in the workplace, for me, I've been working 1 month. We're changing the technologies several times. I have to learn MobX from scratch, just to do this project. So yeah, be flexible. Learn how to learn. It's not learn how to do this specific library.
Right. It's really important to be agile and be adaptive.
I know I said that was going to be my last question, but I want to ask a follow-up question to something that you both just said. And it's something I've heard a lot of feedback from folks that there's kind of it's about finding the right balance between when your projects and your work is like good enough to share without striving for perfection, because I mean, and I tell people all the time, like, your stuff is never going to be perfect. And so perfect should never be the goal. But how would you, just as like, clearly both of you found a lot of success in like networking and promoting yourself. So how did you balance that, assuming that your projects were also not perfect? And like, when did you like draw the line and say like, okay, this is good enough, and like just trust that you could move forward with that?
Yeah, that's something that's probably the hardest thing that I had to overcome, is like my perfectionism, is because that has held me back so much, is my desire to be perfect in everything that I do. Like all my projects, I like really had to have them perfect in order for me want to share them. But to that point, it's like you never get to the point where you actually get to share them, because you're just trying to get them perfect every time. As soon as you get any type of functionality, you should just start to put it out there and just continue to improve whatever you have out there. Just improve it and improve it and improve it again. Because if you just wait and wait and wait, you're going to be waiting forever to put anything out, and then you're not going to do anything. So you might as well just put something out there, let somebody comment on it, and there's going to be people that give you feedback, which is even more valuable, because you have people that give you so much resources that know so much more than you do. And then when they give you this awesome feedback, you can improve it yourself, make it 10 times better. And then you have these awesome projects that are out in the world for everybody to see and comment on. And I think that's super valuable, especially in the Lambda community, like in the Show It Off channel. You can have people that just comment and give you a whole bunch of feedback on your work. I think that's an awesome place to start too. If you just have any type of functionality, just put it out there and get some feedback.
Yeah, I agree with Sasha about that. And I can share a little bit of experience in a hackathon. In a hackathon, for this career hackathon that I went to for this company, they only give us 3 hours to work on our project, which is a visualization of thermostat data. It's a raw data. You need to clean it up, and then when you've done cleaning it up, you need to put it in a back end, and then from back end you need to display it on the front end in a chart. So that's a lot of tasks to do in just 3 hours. And if you go like for perfection, you're never gonna have anything done to display in your front end, right? So what I did was just bare bone coding to just put the graph into the front end. And because of that, I won the hackathon. But after that, the next 2 days, I really tried to improve that code, and also the display, and also the back end, to really have some functionality and filtering and everything else added to the project, and also deploy it. That's what made the company really impressed, that I'm not just like deliver on my first hackathon, but I did my work to improve it. Like, it's on a cycle, like keep improving on what you've done to make it better and better. So that's for me. Yeah.
Thank you both. I'm done for real this time. I'd love to hand it over to everyone who's here. Please feel free to unmute yourself. And if you're feeling really shy, you can post in chat, but let's try to unmute microphones.
I have a question. With regards to your interviewing, when you were asking about inclusion and diversity, and also coming from a boot camp, did you get any pushback about being a boot camp graduate, or when you asked about diversity and inclusion at the companies? And if you did, how did you handle that?
Yeah. So I actually asked this question to one company, and they straight out said that, yeah, it's not really a priority for us. We think we have enough diversity within like our small group of men right here in our group, and we think that's enough. We don't think something. I'm like, that's when like I ended that conversation. And that's when you really have to be picky about where you want to work, because this is going to be somewhere that you're going to go forward with your life and go, work with all these types of people, and you want to be happy when you're working with them. I just say like next to those types of positions that have pushback on something that's really important to you and valuable to things that you like, and that's things that are important to you, and you just have to hold tight to those values. As far as being a boot camp grad, there are tons of companies that especially comparing to students that are straight out of college, you will find that you have a lot more value to bring and a lot more hands-on experience than than just out of college grads, as they're not getting the same live project experience. And you'll find yourself very comfortable in that position, that you'll be able to like fight back and show that with your code that you're knowledgeable enough, and you don't need a computer science degree with your knowledge itself.
I agree with Sasha on that matter. And for me, I haven't done so much interview so far, so it was just my second interview. And the company is already bragging about their diversity, so I didn't need to ask. In terms of boot camp graduate, they already read my resume and other resume, and they know we are from boot camp. And I think I agree that boot camp really teach you practical knowledge about coding that those came from university don't have. So yeah, sorry, I got distracted from that person out there, I guess. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Can you excuse me for a second? I think somebody needed me over there.
Of course.
Okay, sorry.
Come back in when you're ready. That's okay.
Sasha, did you already do the computer science portion?
I'm sorry?
Did you already do the computer science portion of Lambda?
Yes. Yeah, I graduated in August, back in August.
Did you find it helpful during the interviews?
Definitely, yeah. They ask a lot of computer science questions, algorithm questions, data structure questions, with a lot of different positions. Definitely really helpful.
Was it enough, or did you have to do some extra topics?
It's enough but I would definitely, because there's a lot of other questions, and I think when I went through the next program, that the next program is the one that comes after, and they help you with interview questions and stuff. They help with specific data structure questions that they ask, and I think targeting the questions that they ask and learning from the questions and just directing your knowledge to learning what they're going to ask you is really helpful as well, because computer science can also be pretty vague. I don't know. When I was going through the program through the computer science, so I didn't really get a lot of it when I went through it the first time. So I kind of had to go back again and it wasn't my strong suit, I have to say. So I really had to go and do it again and like target questions that interviewers were asking to get like the computer science questions really down. If that makes sense.
I gotcha.
What was the question?
The question was if the computer science portion was like enough for the job interview, or whether you had to like find other sources or like.
Lambda X.
Yeah.
I have not taken the CS portion of the program yet, so to prepare for it, I look for some other resources out there, like the courses from Udemy or something like that, just to prepare. And not every company really do the whiteboarding or code challenges. Like for this company that I'm working in, I got a pass through the whiteboarding. Like the hackathon is the whiteboarding. So when you win the hackathon, then it's just like a free pass for the direct hire. So yeah,
I took a really awesome course on Udemy for computer science, like interview questions, and I'm going to link it in the chat for everybody. It was really helpful.
That, JavaScript one?
Yeah, it was coding interview for it was like a coding interview. It was for algorithms and data structure. Yeah, it's for algorithms and data structures. It's like really awesome.
I took that one too.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I will add this to my resource database. Jamel asked a question, but I can't speak at work. Jamel asked if you could share the link to check out Mario CSS. That would be cool. And what side projects are you both working on?
Yeah, I can link that. Again, this was like very early when I started Lambda. Maybe my first couple of weeks of Lambda, I made that CSS Mario. And side projects that I'm working on. I've been working on a lot of like small Redux side projects. I haven't done anything that I've like wanted to put out for a while, but I've been making like some Chrome extensions, mostly for like motivational, like new Chrome extensions for like my design, like for design and stuff. So whenever I open a new Chrome extension, then I get new design inspiration and stuff. So I've been implementing more Redux through that side project that I've been working on. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, my side project, I have this full stack project that are if you know the Named It book competition, it's like a simulation of that Named It book competition. But I haven't touched it for weeks because of the new job, and right now I'm just finishing the Docker course because I'm using Docker here intensely at my work for our project. So yeah, trying to master Docker in as soon as possible.
Did you have to like talk in depth about your projects? Like during the interviews, like would you like walk them through the code, or is it just like overall this is what this thing does kind of thing?
I had multiple sorry. Yeah, I had multiple projects that my company wanted to look over. I had one that we won first place for in the hackathon, which is the tweet collage one. We did use like an AI for natural language. And yeah, we went through like a general process of, for some companies that I interviewed at, we went through like just the generally, how did the team building experience went, more general questions about how you worked with the team, how, what were the good experiences, what were the bad experiences, and then other companies just straight up like asked for your GitHub and then looked at the code themselves, and then kind of just went through it from there, and then asked questions like based on the code, like why did you do this over a certain way of doing code, certain questions like that. We just go through like a Zoom like this, and then kind of peer review the code. That's usually how it went.
Yeah, my interviewer don't really ask me to go through all the projects. They're just asking the technologies, what technologies to use, and why did we choose that technologies, and also what else? Oh yeah, and just explain some part of the project that I'm really proud of, and if I have any blocker that I have faced during the project and how to solve it, mostly. Mm-hmm.
Ben just posted in the chat, could you give us an example of how you explained what you did?
I think you might be asking me.
Okay.
And like as far as code wise, or explaining like how I went through how I worked with my teammates in the project. Code wise, sure. When we went through code of Sweet Collage project, we'd go through some of, like this was for a full stack position, but mainly it was front end focused. So we went through a lot of the front end and CSS code, and he would ask like why you use certain selectors, or in your React code, why it was mainly like certain, he'd pick out, I can't remember exactly what types of code, because he would like pick out a line and like pick out the line and say, this is like also a year ago, so I don't really, my memory is not like that great, but he would like pick out a code and say, how can you like change this JavaScript to be more concise, or could you have used like a different kind of JavaScript method, like reduce or map, or like a more modern JavaScript way to rewrite this code, or how could you have reiterated over this differently? Certain things like that. More of like, how could you have refactored this code better? No problem.
So you guys have been on the job for a little bit. Has there been anything like super unexpected that's like cool, or like you wish you'd studied a little more? Just like, how did being on the job actually match your expectations or looking for a job or in school?
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah, for me, I wish I learned something about DevOps during my time at Lambda more. I used to not hate it. I just like, I used to try to get away from it, like having my friends to work on it. If it's a project like in the team setting, but now that I have to work on it and have to learn it while I'm just starting the job. It's kind of putting more pressure, I think, but it's also challenging. And I like it. And I knew from the start that this job is all about learning something new. So I kind of not expecting Lambda to teach me everything. I just try to get a really deep understanding of JavaScript as much as I can, not just on the service or anything. I want to really know under the hood of JavaScript. So when you change a library or you change the framework, you still understand because that's all JavaScript, right? So I think what happened in the workplace is just what I expected. It's just learning constantly of new things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was pretty much my job directly aligned with what I learned at Lambda School. Like we learn, like at work, I do Redux, React, CSS. I had to learn. I pretty much didn't have to go out of my way to learn much more because we're also using Node on the back end. So it's like everything was kind of like I learned everything at Lambda School, and everything just happened to be, and it won't always be that way. But I feel like if we changed ways that I would be able to be agile and change directions and go wherever I would like to go. But for me, it just ended up just being directly aligned with how with what Lambda is. And I think there's so many jobs out there that are even in like that stack too, which is just React and Node. So it might end up that way for a lot of people, but it also probably won't. And I think that just being agile and being able to learn really helps because, like Ysaira said, you can change like your job might just change out of like the norm just to go to a different direction. Like we're also adding in Python, which also is aligned with Lambda School. So I thought that was cool, but we're adding a whole bunch of different things and things are always changing. So.
Oh, I have a small question here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wondering whether either you or, I'm sorry, I forget, Yashira, was it?
Yeah, Yashira.
Okay, oh yes, Yashira, great. I was wondering if when you started Lambda, I know it was a while back, but when you started, sorry, I was working out. Did you have in mind that you wanted to go into a specific field, like finance or I don't know, like search engines, like Google or Microsoft, or did you have a particular company in mind? Mm-hmm. If not, that's fine too. I was just curious.
For me, I don't really have a company in mind going into Lambda, but I really want to work with big data and just because I don't know if I've told you this, but I went into a data analyst bootcamp before I went into Lambda. So I kind of have the sense of data analyst and data scientist, but it's just hard to get a job. So yeah, I want to transition from web development and everything to data scientist. So the company that I was looking for is just a company that work heavily in IoT or big data analysis. So here I am now.
Nice. For me, I think the field that I wanted to go into always changes. Like I just always find something new that I want to do, and it just changes so much. Before I wanted to get into machine learning, I wanted to be in a place where they were doing a lot of AI work, and I interviewed at a couple of places. And then I also was just introduced to so many different fields that like you just learn so much about it, and you just get more, for me, I just get more interested in different types of fields. I got really interested in software security. So I really got intrigued when the company that I'm at now reached out to me. And I've always also been kind of interested in design work. And that was another company that offered me a position. And I was kind of conflicted between the two of like this design position, this design field job where I was going to be a software engineer at. And this job in software security just really stuck out to me more. And I wanted to learn more about it. So I ended up being here.
Denise asked a couple questions in the chat that I want to make sure we get to before we wrap up. You mentioned negotiating your salary. Do you have any tips for what worked well with that?
Tip for salary. I work closely with my career coach on the salary because I really didn't know what's the, mean salary of the job market. Like I wasn't full into my job search by that time. I was still just started. So yeah, I talked to my career coach a lot, like almost every day in the process of from the hackathon to the job offer. So yeah, she gave me a range, and we do some research, and when the question come, I can just like answer. My expected salary is between this range. They did say like it's a little bit too high for them, but they went on with it, so I'm pretty happy.
Nice. For me, when I first got offered this position, this is why I brought it up, because the first time I did it, when I got this position, I didn't negotiate my salary until halfway through me working here. And so initially, I was just, I was going to my first position. I was just excited about my starting salary already. And so I talked to my career coach about it. And I think that my biggest advice is to talk to your career coach and just push back any number that you, like any number, just push back like even 10,000 more, just throw a number back. And I think it's really important to do that, because I didn't get to do it till halfway through, but even halfway through, whenever you get the chance, when you feel that you deserve it, then do it. And I think, yeah, the biggest advice is just to talk to your career coach. I had Courtney, and she's really awesome. It has a bunch of resources about that type of stuff. And I think Denise asked another question about how many places I applied. I'll answer that too. I applied at so many places. I think I applied like so many. Interview is a different number, but applied a lot. Like I think maybe like 80 places. I don't know, like a lot. I just kind of just threw every resource. I just kind of threw an application out just to see, because I had so much imposter syndrome at first. I didn't even think that I would be anywhere or get any type of job. So I kind of just threw out all types of applications, and I went to about, I think, 10 interviews or so, like between 8 and 10. So again, it's a long time ago. So I think between 8 and 10 interviews, and my job search was about a month long, I think. I graduated in August, and I got the position sometime in September.
So I got lucky in that sense, I guess, but not after like a long time looking for a job in data analyst. I told you earlier that I went to data analyst bootcamp, and I took like 4 months trying to find a job, and not a single interview, not a single phone call or anything. It really like brought me down, you know. Like I feel like at least give me just one chance, you know, to prove that I can do it. But yeah, but that's what brought me into Lambda, and it's been a great thing. And yeah, I haven't started my job search yet. I was in the middle of my teaching assistant at Lambda, and I interviewed one time for a remote job, and then this was the second job that I applied, and I got it. It's not that I applied, it's just I went to the hackathon. So yeah, it's been really, really unexpected for me.
Thank you.
We are about at time, so I want to wrap up. Thank you both so much. If folks have questions that they didn't get a chance to ask, is it okay if people post in the Brown Bag channel? And I think both of you are still in Slack, so is that okay? And can they tag you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Please post in Brown Bag and versus via DM. That way other people, unless it's like a very private personal question, just so other people can see the answer, because chances are if you have a question, someone else in the group does too. So thank you both so much for joining. This was wonderful, and hope to be able to do more series like this and just hearing from more alumni about your experiences. Yeah, it was great hearing your perspective. So I will share the recording of this as soon as it's done processing within the next few minutes. But thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sasha, for joining. And thank you, everyone else, for being here and for your questions. Have an awesome afternoon. Bye, everyone.